Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tell Us More live experience. Still your host, Mo Jack Loco. We've been gone for a little while. Unfortunately, we've had some episodes scheduled, but the president decided to speak at the same time and same day as us. We're not saying that he's a hater, but surely somebody should have told him that we had an important event happening. But we've got a lot to catch up on. First up, Helen Zill. Helen Zill's been in the news recently. She came out and spoke, or rather tweeted, some really bizarre tweets. A bit of an apartheid apologist, first and foremost, also claiming that there are more racist laws, or there are more racist laws now than there are during the apartheid regime. Very bizarre, very bizarre. And what's most confusing about all of this, people don't know why the Democratic Alliance is not regarded as a viable alternative to a lot of people. I think it's not just their actions, but it's the rhetoric which they use. Party leader Jonathan Steenhuis didn't have much to say. But it's really bizarre. It's really bizarre where they stand, what they're trying to achieve, but the way they perceive history and the facts and what has happened previous to this current regime. I understand them being upset with the political landscape, but there's a major dissociation between what's going on at the moment and how they perceive the world. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think the Democratic Alliance are a viable option? Of course, they're not the only political party that uses this kind of rhetoric to get the people going. The EFF has been known to do the same. Not only that, Panyaza Lesufi tweeted some photos recently about Orania, saying this is unbelievable. How could this happen? I mean, it happened under the watch of our current government. So, I mean, there's no story there. I think what's happening is people are creating smoke rather than mirrors and trying to distract us from what's really going on. And that is a major pandemic that's going on globally, which is kind of showing some glaring weaknesses in a lot of governments and a lot of states and a lot of people's ability to perform basic tasks. And that brings us, of course, on to our next story. COVID-19. South Africa has moved into what is, I think, always moving towards a advanced level 3 lockdown, which means the easing of numerous restrictions, which is cool for some people. I mean, we couldn't be in lockdown forever, but what that's come with is greater exposure to the citizens of the country to the virus, just because we're all moving around a little bit more. We're going back to work, we're going to the shops, we're going to the stores, and of course, cases are on the rise. Western Cape was originally the epicenter. Joburg's quickly catching up, and I think we're kind of going to see in the next week a major crisis within the healthcare system. And I think that's because we haven't kind of made the behavioral changes that we needed to, right? Like the social distancing, not just that. A lot of people have been going to illegal gatherings, not wearing their masks. Some even think it's an act of rebellion, and it's not the case. The reason we're bringing this up is because we think as citizens of South Africa, it's your responsibility to not only take care of your health, but the health of those people around you. So wear a mask, keep washing your hands. And I've said this on another thing, but I know you bastards aren't washing your hands for 20 seconds anymore. I know you're back to 7.5 or 6 or whatever that bullshit is that you were doing. So let's kind of stay focused, keep our eye on the prize. I know we're going to hit our peak. It's going to be quite hectic. And the reason I think people are starting to take it seriously is because they've been affected on a personal basis. And I don't think we should have to wait for that moment for us to take this seriously, because these aren't just statistics, these aren't just numbers of people, these aren't just recoveries, these aren't just, they're people that we know and we love and we appreciate, and we need to take care of them, and we need to take care of ourselves, and just be smart about the decisions we make and try to slow down the spread of this disease, because I mean, we don't know when we'll be getting a vaccine anytime soon. So our message to you guys, and I think to all South Africans or whoever's watching this across the world, is to still stay safe, to stay indoors, to take the necessary precautions, to protect not only yourself but also your family, so that we can build, and we're gonna need people to build after all of this is done. So that's what we're imploring everybody to do. Stay safe out there. Keep it tidy, keep it clean. Let's take care of one another, and try to get through these incredibly difficult times. I know this is quite a heavy weight to start the episode, but we had to address all of those things. But I'm not just going to talk about depressing things. I hope that isn't the theme of today's episode, because there is some positivity in the world. There are still those people who bring us joy and light occasionally, in various forms. One of those people joining me today is a wonderful comedian, writer, actress, who's done some wonderful things. And I would like to welcome our next guest onto the show, the wonderful Lindy Johnson. What a say. What?
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, in yourself.
I know the episode started so hectic. COVID-19, Ellen Villa. It can
It
only
is
get better.
COVID. I think we should talk about more dark things. I don't know what's going on. I think we talk about J.K. Rowling. I think she's transphobic. Let's throw that in there. Might as well.
That's actually a great starting point. Do you care about Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, and any of her literature at all?
I do. I grew up. That was the first book that I chose to read myself. Like
Hmm.
I picked it up myself, and I was like, and I was one of those kids who was like forcing my mom to go stand in line at CNA. So like it's very disappointing. Yeah, I know it's shocking that I would be that nerdy because I'm so cool all the time. But yeah, I
Sure.
was one of I was one of those kids, and now it's just why must you do that?
It's awkward, huh? It's awkward. You know what's funny is that I didn't read the tweets because I don't really care for any of J.K. Rowling's writing. So I was like, I'm not even going
I
to read
get
the
that
tweets.
though, because I mean, like that's the kind of thing you read. I was in primary school,
Hmm.
so it's supposed to be entertaining for primary school kids, and was a massive part of why I love reading still to this day. So, like for me, it was just like, okay, you just ruined my childhood, but okay, that's cool, it's fine.
But
It's
do you
super.
think But do you think you have to get rid of all of those kind of things, those memories? Do you have to burn the literature once somebody, or even any artist, once they transgress? What are you supposed to do now with all that stuff that you love so much?
I'm not burning any books. That was hard earned Christmas and birthday money that I spent on those books. I'm not burning anything. And I bought them from CNA. It's not like I bought them from second hand. They were brand new. I'm not
Fresh.
burning anything. I don't care. We can burn J.K. Rowling. It's fine. No, don't burn it. Oh, that sounds so like,
Wow, that's
no,
okay. You heard it here first.
no,
We're
no, like,
inciting
don't
violence
burn.
from South Africa.
Burn like money. Take her money and give it to trans women. That's the only reform I'm interested in. See,
That's
okay, we're getting round to logical.
it took us a while, but we're gonna find a solution to all of this. I mean, you've brought up an interesting idea. Like, is there a separation between an artist and the work that they create? Can we do that? Is it possible? Because for instance, like R. Kelly's dead. You can't play R. Kelly anymore. That's at least in the circles I've been in. That's not
Yeah.
allowed. Do you think there is that separation between an individual's personal life and the work that they've created?
I really don't think so. It's
Mm,
prevalent in J.K. Rowling's work. Obviously, I didn't know it because I was like 12 when I read her books. But
sure.
it's prevalent in her books. You can see the way she treats characters who aren't white. The way she treats like that Irish guy who was just like he just liked whiskey and blowing up stuff. Like, like it's prevalent in their work, and we just can't continue entertaining things that don't reflect our own realities right now. So, like
Sure.
with R. Kelly's songs, he was singing about 14-year-old girls. So now you can't be like stepping in the name of love when the love is 12.
Oh no, no, Jesus Christ. that is that is
Because
very
that's
dark.
also, when I hear
Oh,
R. Kelly song, that's what I'm thinking. You in the
yes,
closet,
yes.
why? Because the dad came home from work.
Oh
That's
no.
why.
I mean, I knew that R. Kelly was dark, but you've added another twist to it of just like,
But is that not where your mind goes when you listen to his music? You can't hear any of his love songs, any of his sex songs. You can't think of any of that. What is the boat? What does the boat mean? Like, are you taking a bath with a child? I
yes.
don't know.
Oh my god. I mean, I didn't go that far, but I knew that it was problematic to listen to him. Just before the lockdown, we were DJing. I mean, DJing, playing off an iPhone at a place downstairs, and the guy who was DJing played an R. Kelly song, and literally five people ran over and were like, "No, no, we don't do that over here. No." And he was like, "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry." But we're all learning slowly. Um, I,
Yeah. I
I,
just
you
wish
know,
people were more gentle.
you say that again for me.
I wish people were more gentle about the learning, though.
You reckon they've got like a harshness to how they perceive people not knowing? Because I think there is that kind of thing of like you should know better, you should behave
Yes,
better.
that tone is not something I enjoy because maybe it's because I'm a comedian and I'm surrounded. What before this whole thing, I just
Mm,
spent a lot of time with comedians, and we generally have a lot of time to consume what's happening in media and in real
sure.
life, and then digest it, and then form
Mm,
our own opinions on it. Something that most people with normal 9 to 5s don't have. So I'm used to just waiting and like gently explaining to people what's going
mm,
on and why I have a certain opinion on certain things, and they can form their own opinion based on whatever the fuck. But like now it's just like a lot of people are spending a lot of time on social media. So now they are constantly hearing all these things. So now it's old news for them. But like millions of people aren't on social media. They don't
yes.
consume social media the way most of us do on Twitter. Like Twitter isn't real life. Instagram isn't real life. We know this, so now we need to act like it.
Well, I mean, some people argue that that's where their lived experience is. It's like they've created communities on social media, and that becomes their new normal, which I think is hard for us to grapple or get our head around. But some people would argue that that is their life, that is their worldview.
I mean, it is my worldview too. I spend a lot of time on social media.
Mm,
I'm a comedian because of Twitter. I met most of
sure.
my best friends on Twitter. Like, it's my whole life is there, and I've created this nice safe space for myself. But I
Sure.
also understand in that same vein that other people don't live life like this. They have
Mm.
real relationships and families. Cut like that.
Why did you say it like that? That's
In my experience, it doesn't really exist. But good for you. I'm happy you married. Mm.
I mean, we were talking about the controversies of social media. We actually found this image the other day that, like, this really shook us. It really took us aback of kind of the stuff that's being shown in social media. Hopefully, Wade can pull it up for us, and you can give us kind of your insights onto what's happening over here. This is it's it's the last few weeks on social media have been rather intense, and we found this stock image
You
online.
know what I
Do
hate
you?
the most about this image is the fact that that doesn't look like me. I refuse to believe. Look at that one eye. It basically looks like it's gonna pop out. I look so shit, and people are still like, "Hey, this is Lindy." You know what I mean? Like, have you ever seen the shittest picture of yourself, and people are like, "No, that's definitely you. We know it." That's the thing that pisses me off. And now this guy, this Joey, I didn't even know who he was, but like a lot of people sent it to me and they were like, he has 3 billion followers. So now 3 million people are looking at me looking like that. That's why I posted a selfie tonight. I'm going to post more selfies on social media just to let people know. Sometimes I don't look like that. Both of my eyes are firmly in their sockets. They need to know this.
We should redo this photo shoot under ideal circumstances. I feel like that's where we're going with this. But for the people that don't know the backstory, I don't know it either. What is actually happening in this photo?
So my friend and I, that's my friend next to me,
Hmm.
and we went with Yasin to Goodwood. That was in
Yeah.
Cape Town. I still live in Paul. And then we went to Goodwood, and there was a wrestling event, like proper,
What?
like
Wait, pause.
WWE.
Go back, go back. What do you mean there was a wrestling thing?
There was a wrestling event, so they were round and like two people, and then sometimes four people, and they had characters, and they were like,
What?
it was really it was exactly like WWE without any of the budget, and all
Oh
of them were South
no.
African. It was so much fun. And then one of the wrestlers came because they all had like entrances, right?
Yes, yes.
Like they
Like
were all
comedian.
like, okay, I come from the jungle, but then your name is Ricardo, so I know where you live, bruh. So don't tell me you come from a jungle. Belleville isn't a jungle, it's just wild.
Oh
Anyway,
no.
then one of the wrestlers came out in like a scary clown sort of get up, and he was
Yeah.
throwing water, like he was drinking water, and then he was spitting it out. And then this was me trying to not make eye contact with him because I didn't want him to spit on me. And
Oh
then
no.
Yasin caught my fear. This is fear.
But I mean, you're infamous now. This is the global success that so many people yearn for.
Yeah,
We're gonna hide that photo. I think you've been through enough. What?
thank you. Is this the kind of success? I feel like I wanted this, but I wasn't very specific in my praise because I was like, I want to be famous, but I should have added for my stand up. I didn't add that part. It's my fault, actually.
Yes. When you read the dream, you must let your intentions be very explicit as to exactly what you want and how you want this notoriety. But talking about going international, is that a thing for you when it comes to stand up? Do you have aspirations of being a global act who plays all over the world?
Yes, absolutely. I want to play as soon as this thing is over. I'm gonna stop being scared because I was like scared the whole time because I'm like, I don't know if people, because I mean these are normal fears for any comedian. I know they're normal, but like
Sure.
I don't want them to stop me because I've always been scared of doing things, and I never
Mm,
let that fear stop me because I mean I believe so much in comedy. I believe so much in myself that I
sure.
can't let something like fear get in the way of success. It's just
Mm,
the payoff is too high for me to be like, oh yeah, but I might be embarrassed, but I also might learn a fuck ton and be really successful. So
sure. Well, I mean, for me, I think, I think South African acts are not aware of how well they fit in globally. I think that's a thing that we were surprised by when we start going into the world. Have you played overseas yet? And where are you hoping to play? Where's your first stop when you do make the trips?
well, my first like outside of South Africa performance was in Rwanda.
Oh, dope. That's fire. Were you in Kigali?
Yeah, I was. I
That's
was.
fire.
It was really nice, and the people are so amazing. On that note, since you brought it up, very embarrassing. But Rwanda is so safe, and the people
Yes.
are so friendly, and I'm just like, there are benefits to dictatorship. If we're being honest, let's just I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying
Yes.
there are benefits.
I'm not completely against what you're saying. I did hear it's quite a military state. They search for bombs
Yeah.
and stuff under cars and in trunks. But what was that comedy experience most of all for you? What was that like playing in such a different environment?
Um, I think it was fun for me in a very like it was educational. I'm gonna put it
Okay,
like that.
interesting.
It
What
was
do you mean?
educational because the crowds there don't have comedy like we do. So
Ah,
they aren't used to comedy the way South Africans are used to comedy. And there are a lot of
sure.
places in South Africa you can go, like Durban, Cape Town, Joburg, and you go to a comedy club and the people know what's happening. You can
Yeah.
just go on stage, do your set, get off, and judge it based on that. But when I
Yes.
was in Rwanda, the crowds aren't used to comedy. So now I have to get on stage. And it was so funny to me because for me, I'm telling jokes. I'm
Yes.
having a good time, whatever. The crowd isn't used to comedy. So for them, what I'm saying, they reacted to everything that I'm saying like it's real. So then I have, I
What do
have
you
this joke.
mean?
I had a joke about getting robbed, and the crowd was so upset. Like, I was like, yeah, no. I moved to a big city and I got robbed, and they're like, oh no. And they were just so upset. And I had to be like, it's fine. And then, like, I go through the whole joke, and at the end,
Sure.
the punchline obviously arrives, and they were like so shocked that I took them for a joke. Like you could see the betrayal on their faces
Oh,
because they
that's
were like
funny.
the whole time. Oh.
The lion ass. That's great. I like that so much. I I
And
feel like that's happened to me once, right? I did this weird corporate where I had to play a character, and I was telling them again stories like they say comedy is tragedy plus time, and the whole time they were like, "Oh my god, he dropped out of university. What a shame!" Like, and then eventually, in minute 11, they were like, "Oh, this is comedy." So basically, I bombed for 11 minutes, and they laughed for
yeah,
30 seconds.
but it's just like it was bombing, but it was also like I got to change my view on it. This
Mm,
isn't I can't do comedy the way I'm used to doing it. So in that moment, when I was on stage, I had to
sure.
change my delivery. I had to change my mannerisms, everything, and I loved that. It was so exhilarating because I'm just like, yeah, I can. It doesn't matter where I go, I
Sure.
can do this shit. I'm a bad bitch. That was me in my head. On the outside, I was like, oh my God, just kill me now. Just kill me, please.
but but that's an interesting idea that I think a lot of artists over time lose that kind of spontaneity, right? Like we become entrenched in this idea of like these are the jokes, I do them like this, and this is the
Yeah.
reaction I get. How much of that do you feel like? I mean, this would have been my 10th year of stand up. This year's a write off, but I think after a while you lose that kind of desire to be spontaneous. How do you get out of that rut? Do you think as an artist?
I don't know. I don't know how other people get out of this rut, but like for
Mm,
me, I get so bored.
sure.
I just feel like if I do the same jokes and I do it the same way and I do it to the same people, I just
Mm.
feel like I don't know. I just feel like there's no way I'm gonna grow. So what's the point of anything if I'm just gonna do it just to be here? That
Yeah, the
makes no
same way.
sense to me.
Mm.
I'm not like the best, like, yeah, every night, new jokes, here we go. But like, I try and push myself in ways that I know that won't make me feel bad about myself afterwards.
Is that so? That's a conscious decision that you take to constantly push yourself to kind of get out of this comfort zone.
Yes, of course. Like, especially if I've been doing well for too long, I just become suspicious. Like if I've been feeling like back in the day when I did stand up outside, if like there was so many nights where I killed and I'm like, I need to go somewhere where they don't know my name. I need to go to a different town or a
Yeah,
different place and different people. I usually just go to Durban because I mean
Durban. What's in Durban, fam?
nobody who knows me or is like me.
I mean, if there's anyone from Durban watching, I'm like, oh, you know what's upsetting about Durban? They produce so many like great acts, like like 5, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, let's say 10 years ago. And since then, whoa, what a mess. Bob Perfect, I know, is a good dude. He tried some stuff. Carvin Goldstone too, but circuits have kind of its ebb and flow. Is that a reason why maybe you moved to Joburg at a certain point? I'm not saying that Cape Town
Yes.
wasn't in the state it was in, but I'm saying was there that desire to kind of to not get too comfortable in the environment you were in?
Yes, that was exactly the reason I moved because a lot of the time I was doing comedy to people I went to school with, the type of people I
Mm,
went to school with, so like a lot of like those kind of white people, or
sure.
I was doing comedy to people who like me, like colored people who grew up the same way. So I'm just like, I'm
Mm,
talking to myself every night and I can't handle it.
sure.
I can't handle you being on the same beat as me constantly. I need to be somewhere else where they don't know me. And that's the best part about comedy. And
Mm,
like what I loved when I fell in love with comedy myself was when someone like one of my favorite was Russell Peters, like back when I was like 13. And I was
Yes,
just
yes,
like, this guy's from Canada, he's Indian, his parents are immigrants, and he's
yes.
making his stories relatable to me, a colored girl from Paul. And that's the thing that I love so much. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able for other people to go, like white guys, the complete opposite of me, black guys. I don't know why
Yeah.
I say men, but other people who are not,
There's a theme, yeah.
yeah,
We're
just
gonna.
like people who are the complete opposite of me. I want them to go, you know what, after Lindy's comedy, I know exactly what it's like to be a colored girl from Paul.
Mm. I mean, that's for me. That's a really important thing. Kind of telling stories that aren't so present in our media, right? That's a big thing. And I've been reading Angela Davis, Race Woman in Class, and kind of the intersectionality of being a woman, one, and being a woman of color. What's that experience like for you? What's that been like? Not only being a woman in comedy, but a person of color in comedy, and when where those kind of points meet. What's that experience like? I know that's a hard thing to kind of try and summarize, but what's it been like navigating that world?
You know what?
Mm,
A lot of people ask me this question, and a
mm,
lot of people are like, "Yeah, it's a male-dominated industry and all that." And
sure.
yes, it is, and it is very difficult to be
Mm.
around men a lot of the time because the things you people say, it's very
I mean,
stupid.
you are
But
correct, and it's unfortunate.
but as a work environment and being on stage, it's as a fat colored woman, it's the first time in my life that I am be able to describe myself, that I
Mm,
get to take ownership of my identity. Other
sure,
spaces don't allow me because they just take whatever they see based on their experiences. So what they see first, woman, colored,
mm,
fat, whatever, and then that's who I am. And that's I don't get to say in it. They judge me based of that. They treat me according to their preconceived notions. But when
sure.
I'm on stage, I get to be like, fuck that. I'm
Yeah.
Lindy, and this is what I'm like, and now you know me. And I love that. I
I think
feel
that is.
so in charge.
Yeah, I'm just to add to your point. I think that's dope. The ability to kind of control your narrative and tell the world you experience. I didn't know anything about Parla until I met you, and then I was like, this
Lucky you.
this place produces multiple Miss South Africas. Uh, what is in the water in Paarl? But what is Paarl like? Because my partner and I, we drove by. We were hoping you were home. I don't know if it was in December, but what is Paarl like as a place? And how come you aren't quarantining or isolating in Paarl or whatever it is that we're doing now?
So I'm not isolating in Paul because I don't know how to say this politely, but I don't want to live in my mother's house.
Yes,
I'm too used to living on my own and having my own rules and eating my own food. No offense to her food, because it's
of
nice,
course.
it's good. It's just sometimes I want to do my own thing, and I just I can't do that in my mother's house. And there's some activities that I also can't do in the house, which is fine, and I respect that.
Sure. We're not gonna delve into that. Sure, carry on.
I mean, we can, but I'm not ashamed of myself.
I'm not either. It's your prerogative.
So yeah, and then Paul is like, Paul is just a normal South African city where everything is very divided, and white people live
Mm,
over there, colored people live over there, and black people live 15 kilometers outside of the city.
oh wow.
And it's very separated. It's very, but the people are good people, and I really
Sure.
love them.
I mean, we've spoken about kind of the politics that exist in Paarl. I don't think are unique just to that place. I think Durban's got elements of that segregation. So does Joburg. What I do want to
Yeah.
know is why do you think people like projecting the idea of like smaller towns being less progressive than bigger towns or cities? Why do you think people like doing that? Where I think it's kind of an equal distribution.
I think it's just that thing of trying to, when like people of color or middle class, and then they try and look down because now they just got that like that one step up above you. So now it's just like
Sure.
trying to
Yeah, yeah.
separate themselves from you. And I mean, if that's the real step you need to make you feel good about yourself, do it. It's
Mm.
fine. Paul has a cotton on now. We up there.
We out here. Busting moves. 2020 Paul Cotton on. You know what time it is. It's interesting. We're in June now. In a month's time, it would have been the National Arts Festival. You, of course, won an award for Frizz Pop last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You won an Ovation Award at the National Arts Festival for your show Frizz Pop, which is currently streaming on Showmax. What was that like, kind of working firstly on Frizz Pop, but secondly, you had a room in Cape Town called the Raptor Room. Tell us a little bit about what that room was and what it represented in the Cape Town comedy circuit.
This, I think, is my pride and joy of my stand-up comedy career.
Mm,
Was just because Raptor Room was a room I made with Kate Pinchak,
sure.
and we decided to have a room that was just for women to do stand-up comedy and to
Mm,
try it for the first time. Because I know for me personally, I mean, I come from a very conservative background. I'm
mm,
not from Cape Town, and it was very scary for me to go into that, to go to a club for like a pub or club, and that's the
yeah,
first place to do stand-up comedy is in like in a club or whatever,
yeah.
and there's only men around you, and I just wanted a place because trying stand-up comedy is scary enough. So now you just need a safe space to try it. Surrounded by
Mm.
women, the crowd was obviously mixed, but just we just wanted to give you that like little bit of a head start so you can feel safe.
Like give people the best shot possible, almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Raptor Room, of course, this is collaboration with yourself and Kate Pinchak. You start doing a show called Frizz Pop. What was kind of the motivation behind that, and then tell us about how that grew almost over time.
So Frizz Pop just started because Kate and I, you know the way usual comedian things start. You have a conversation with another comedian and you're like, wow, we're really funny. We should do this for a crowd. So
Unfortunately, that is not correct all of the time. With you guys, it is, but a lot of comedians are like, "Wow, we're funny. Let's do this thing," and then we have to plow through that shit. But you guys, fortunately, were actually funny.
yeah, I mean, yeah. We tried a lot of things. It's not like we didn't try these things first and then worked it out. And then, I don't know, our banter just expanded because it was usual, like the format of the show was 10
Mm,
minutes of us talking, having a conversation, and then 15 minutes her, 15 minutes me, depending on the coin toss. Very
sure.
scientific process.
Yeah, I can see.
And then our banter expanded to like 30 minutes and then 10 minutes each just stand up. It was
That's
amazing.
fine. Yeah, it was dope. I mean, I saw the Showmax special. You had some other comedians that you brought along with you on the journey. Very briefly, what are kind of like your short term goals and stand up in terms of stand up comedy rather, and what kind of spaces would you like to see going forward, like into the future? Well, what would that world look like for you?
Well, I just wish stand-up comedy was safer because as it is now, I really like it. I enjoy it.
Sure.
I love the people I work with. I just wish that we were more dedicated to eradicating people who aren't here for the right reasons.
Yeah,
Woo!
go. Yeah, why were you so careful with that? You were so like diplomatic with that one.
I had to be because like what I wanted to say was if you shit, fuck off. So I didn't say
I
that.
like both versions. We'll decide later. But tell us more.
I think Wade should edit that out if he feels like it, whatever.
It's live. The people watching have heard it.
Oh shit, okay. Wow, they edited that in on top of me. That's weird.
So you want it to be a safer space going forward. You want kind of to have that freedom to express
A
yourself in that way, and
safer,
just
more
generally
focused space.
more focused. What do you mean by that?
Literally what I said, if you aren't here to make this your career, why are you
Mm,
here? Why are you
sure.
taking up space of people who need more time so they can
Mm,
do this full time and with passion? I get trying it, but if you've
yes.
been trying it for 3 years, 4 years, you've tired. You are tired. Go home. Spend time with your wife. I don't know. Just leave us alone. We need to focus.
I think I might take this attitude with me after this lockdown. I'm just telling people off. I'll just be like, "You've been here how long? And you still doing that 5 minutes? Oh, you fucking around, dog.
No,
You should
this is
try.
what I'm gonna do. I have a strategy. I'm gonna be like, your shame and your wife doesn't miss you.
Yo,
No, no,
you're bringing families
no,
into
you
this.
don't have a wife, and you don't feel like going to go find one
That's
somewhere
so
else.
that's so messy. That's not right. No,
It
no.
is, and that's why I love it. Then it make you feel bad about yourself. Leave comedy. I know it hurts you.
I'm on board. I'm gonna act like I'm not, but I'm fully on board with what's happening right now. The one thing I did want to ask, we are still currently in this lockdown. I've had a weird like I've started to care about cookware more than I ever have. Do you have any weird things you've just started like you've spent time like reading over or poring over since this lockdown has began? Because I'm just obsessed about like cooking and utensils.
So I got the best thing ever. It's a Russell Hobbs
Mm.
processor, blender,
Mm-hmm.
and like this
Mm-hmm.
bullet
Mm-hmm.
thing. So now I am super obsessed with finding coffee beans so I can blend my own beans and make that coffee. Do you know, I feel like I'm salt of the earth, like I can be a farmer or some cat because I make my own coffee. You know, this thing is so liquor. It's a process. I make my own hummus. I make my own, like anything. Name it. I'll tell you I made it.
I don't want to sound like a hater, but you made your own coffees. That feels like a reach. I feel like blended it, maybe.
I took the beans,
Yes,
and if the beans were still beans, and you
yes.
poured hot water over them, what would happen? Not coffee. Then Lindy came and made it into that fine dust cup. I don't know what to call it. That
That's
I
cut.
made
Okay, cool.
and then I put hot water on it. I made the coffee. I don't know why you're trying to downplay
No,
my
I
achievement.
mean,
I don't know.
I feel bad now. I take it all back. I think we should definitely get this cooking show where you make das kak for the people of South Africa. I, I would definitely tune in every week. What people were baking banana bread in week 1 and 2. What do you think happened there? What do you think happened to our baking enthusiasm?
I'm still baking. I don't know where everyone else went, but I just because cooking and baking is very calming for me.
Mm,
It has that same thing that comedy does. Like
sure.
it's the same sort of process where I can make the same thing differently and I can get different outcomes or I can make it better if I
Mm,
keep trying. And I love that the process of I can get better at this or I can make it my own and I love that so much. So I'm still baking. I think people were just bored in the beginning, but now they have actual work. Um, so that's why I'm still baking on my
you
own.
still you going hard. Linda, we might have some comments that I have completely missed during the course of the show. Let's see what the
Oh,
people have been saying. Russell Hobbs, das kak. Okay, they've just been reiterating what we've been saying the whole time. But I wanted to ask you as we wrap this up. It's been a fantastic chat, and thank you for giving us your time. What kind of advice do you have to people who are maybe struggling during this lockdown period? What would you say to them to keep them going or to motivate them in any shape or form?
you know what? I think last week I was also having a very, very shitty time, to be honest.
Mm, mm,
And I'm gonna tell you guys what my therapist told me, so then you don't
sure.
have to pay a 800 rand fee. And she said that this is a shitty time, and you
Mm.
have every right to feel like, oh my goodness. Anyway, you have every right to feel like shit. Feel it. Don't feel bad because this is happening and it's out of your control. There's nothing you can do. I'm not helping. This is supposed to motivate. You can do anything you set your mind to. Reach for the stars. I don't know. I don't know why you asked me to do motivational things. I'm not good at this.
Okay, well, let's do this rather because you've actually brought up a great point. Um, Therapy, its value, and I had never done it until this year, and I was like, wow, this is quite a useful way of taking care of one's mental health without necessarily burdening those close to you. What do you think of the value of therapy and kind of self care when it comes to your mental state?
I think it's super important, and I just wish it was more accessible to more
Mm,
people, especially South African men, because I feel
yes.
like if more South African men had access to therapy and healthy coping mechanisms, then they
Mm,
wouldn't feel the need to showcase their dominance over women the way they have been. And
mm,
they have every right, I feel, black men and colored and Indian men have every right to be as mad as they are in this
sure.
country. There's been no reform, there's been no change, and they're living the same lives as their dads, or the dads they don't have because apartheid took them away for
Mm,
whatever reasons. So I just wish more people had access to it. It's
mm.
extremely important, and it's not prioritized the way it should be. Like, did you know for psychology masters, only like
Yeah.
10 people are accepted at every institution? It doesn't make
How many?
sense.
Repeat that
I
for
don't
me,
know.
please.
I
How
don't know
many?
exact numbers. Don't quote me
Okay,
on that.
okay. Sure. You're just saying it's a small number that doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
I think it's less than 20. I'll go with that.
Well, I mean, I totally agree with the point that you're making is that I think South African men, like you say, have not been given the necessary tools to deal with what they're experiencing. I think South Africans in general have this kind of generational trauma that's been passed on to them, and they're
Absolutely.
just not being taught ways to successfully deal and cope with the stresses of day-to-day life. And I think that is a major thing. Kind of, we need to address how we how we how people deal with their mental health, because I think a lot of people repress their emotions and then use people who don't have the same kind of social status or whatever as them as a way of dealing with whatever is bothering them. I think we really should kind of start promoting therapy on a regular basis, particularly within black communities, right?
Yes. I don't think
Yeah.
promotion is a problem. I think accessibility is a problem. It's
Mm,
so expensive. It cost me 800 Rand per session, and that's a lot of money.
sure.
I don't think it's accessible. If South African government prioritized it, I don't know. Like, I'm feeling a bit hopeless regarding our government because, yeah, because of who they are.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's fair for you to feel that way, particularly in the last few weeks when we've had major issues regarding GBV, and like the president's address was interesting, but he was like he shouted out the police, and it was like, no, the fuck, like not like you- you're joking, right? You're giving these guys
I
plaudits.
hated that so much because I don't know, maybe it's just me projecting, but I just feel like he's so out of touch, and I'm just like, yeah, you said the police, they commend the
Commend
police for
them, yeah.
trying so hard. What are you commending them on? I'm not angry, I'm super chill. I'm just saying they doing fuck all, so what are you commending them for?
I feel you. Yeah, it was very
And a lot
bizarre. It
of
seemed.
policemen are abusive. So now what are you commending them for joining in on the GBV?
Yeah, I think his statement seemed at odds with what was going on a kind of grassroots level, on a base level. But I think we shouldn't give up, right? I think that's when, like, that's the worst possible thing we could do, is kind of give up and feel helpless, even though the state is not necessarily providing the services it should be providing. That, I mean, and that's why we're gonna go back. Well, what do you have to say to people who are feeling a little bit down, who are on the verge of giving up, and like, what would you
I don't
say to
think
them?
I'm
Just keep
the
them
right
going.
person to ask this because I'm just like, what do you feel about giving up? Yeah, give up. Fuck that. Why was I keep trying? I am not a motivational person. I'm not get up and do it again. Here we go. I'm not that person.
You know what? This is a safe space. We accept all advice that is given. There's no judgment. You're all everyone's free to feel the way that they feel, and we're
Yeah.
here for it. But I do want to say thank you first of all for joining us, and we're going to send you all the best of luck, and hopefully we chat soon. But once again, thank you so much for joining us. I know we went all over the place. We were all over the place, but it was a ton of fun. I enjoyed it so much.
I also enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me, Moja.
Ta, we'll chat soon. Yeah, thanks for joining us. That
Yeah.
was the wonderful Lindy Johnson. Thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Tell Us More live experience. Great to catch up with a fantastic comedian, originally from Paul, doing a thing in Joburg. You guys have been great. Shout out to you tuning in live, and those of you who watch this later on. Make sure to subscribe, like the videos. We'll see you guys soon with some more content. I guess that's what we're doing. We're making content. Content. That's the word. I hate that word. Content. But it's been another fun episode. We'll hopefully see you guys next week. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We're going to be cooking on IG soon if you're watching this live. If not, you can watch that somewhere else. Check out the Tell Us More podcast, Spotify, iTunes, of course, this on YouTube and Facebook. We'll see you guys soon. Okay, thanks. Bye.